This presentation, we will be talking about the confidence in junior high boys and girls in sport and physical activity. First, we will discuss the confidence levels going into junior high, then talk about some techniques that can be used to increase that confidence. I hope you enjoy.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about self-confidence in junior high boys. And we're going to start with their confidence levels going into junior high. So mental health issues such as depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, and low self-confidence affect 20% of adolescents worldwide, which kind of surprised me because when I was in junior high, like I didn't really know anybody that didn't have issues with anxiety or depression. Um, but anyways, boys scored less on self-confidence and self-efficacy regarding academics when tested. Boys also reported less psychological distress than girls in junior high, and 10% more boys reported being involved in sport. Although the correlation between those last 2 points may not imply causation, um, I know that there are so many different factors that go into psychological distress. Um, so who knows
Some
really?
factors that affect self confidence in junior high boys is that they feel that they perform better in a practice than in a game. This is because during practice, coaches praise the energy the athletes bring, their determination, and their skill development. In competition, coaches and parents only praise good performances. They tend to overlook or not focus on the skills and efforts from the athletes. This can lead the boys to be more focused on a good performance instead of trying to execute his skills and work hard during practice. Junior high boys can become anxious and start to worry about having a poor performance. This causes nervousness, tension, and timid play. They become worried about needing to be perfect and are scared to make a mistake. This makes it harder to execute the skills needed and for them to stay focused and perform their best. Another factor that affects boys' self confidence is the comparison with the male stereotypes. Body image can have a huge effect on self confidence, as many junior high boys haven't hit the growth spurt yet. They may still be small or skinny, and this can make them self conscious or insecure, and their self confidence will go down.
Yeah. I remember in junior high, I was, I think I was 5'1" and 103 pounds until I hit like ninth grade. And I was the least like self-confident um, person around and just super insecure. I hated my body. I wore like baggy sweaters and sweatpants to school every day just because I hated the way that I look because I was so small. And I went to a primarily Dutch school, which is just full of just like super tall kids. And I was just this tiny little Filipino guy. Um, but, anyways, go on.
The perception of men needing to be tough, unemotional, and violent can sometimes cause boys to feel weak or unmanly if they experience feelings of sadness or fear. Self confidence in boys can decrease if they are bullied or made fun of for experiencing natural emotions, or for even wanting to take part in a non stereotypical male activities, like participating in a more girly sport.
Yeah, I can't even count the amount of times that I've told people that I play volleyball and they're just like, wait, isn't volleyball a girl
Yeah.
sport? Yeah.
Academics can also affect self confidence in junior high athletes. Boys who do poorly in school may feel like they're not smart and that all they have is sports, which can put a lot of pressure on them. Boys who do well in sports can also develop low self esteem if their hard work in school is not recognized or appreciated by parents, coaches, or teachers. And the last one is junior high athletes can feel pressure by their peers to be cool and to succeed on the team. This can cause issues where the boys will suppress their emotions, which could lead to sports not being fun
So
anymore.
this is ways to increase self-confidence as a coach or as a role model or as a parent. Um, so the first one would be helping to change their perspective on failure. Um, so just kind of helping them understand not be afraid of failure, teaching them that it's okay to make mistakes. And when you fail, the most important thing is that you learn from them and not focus on the mistake or the failure as in itself. Parents and coaches can help with young boys' confidence by praising the effort and the little things that they are seeing them do and change. Coaches can talk with the team after a game and have each player share or shout out another player for doing something good that game. I know my volleyball team, we, after every practice, every game, we do personal shout outs. And for someone, well, like me in my first years, I looked forward to those because I needed that feedback. And I'm not a junior high boy, but
my team does that too.
Yeah. And yeah, it's a great thing for coaches to do. Yeah. And then after that, they can talk about ways to improve, and also just kind of identify the mistakes and identify those failures. Not focus on them, but just be like, yeah, hey guys, like this is what we need to work on. Another thing that coaches and role models, parents, whatever, can do is promote self-improvement. Coaches and parents, they can help their son gain self-confidence by encouraging them to strive for improvement. Can show their son or athlete that it is important to accept their flaws while striving to become better. They got to notice that they're struggling with them and help them set a plan to improve. Helping them identify their strengths and weaknesses as an athlete can teach them how to set realistic goals and help them improve. Another thing that I think a lot of coaches can actually do better is praising effort instead of outcome, especially at this high level that we play at. Instead of praising your athlete or son for winning a game, praise them for all the hard work they did and the training that they did leading up to the game. Highlighting key things that they did during the game and noticing the improvement that they have made goes beyond just focusing on the outcome and winning the game. That's not the only thing that's important, and it can really boost a young athlete's self-confidence. Because they can always control their effort, but they can't control the outcome of the game. So you can kind of have to focus on what they can control to build their self-confidence in what they control. Another one, which is huge for me, is being a role model for your athlete or your son in junior high. If you carry yourself with confidence and if you're confident yourself, it's kind of monkey see, monkey do, right? They're more likely to mirror that behavior, even if it's faking it at the start, fake it till you make it kind of, but they're more likely to be confident because they see you being confident. Another thing is practicing positive self-talk. And that's helping them understand that the harsh thoughts that they have about themselves aren't true. You kind of have to guide them to see how being overly harsh to themselves is actually detrimental. Constructive criticism and realizing mistakes is good, but it can turn into punishing yourself because of those mistakes. And that's not what we want these junior high boys to do. Kind of have to help them change the way that they speak and say things, instead of we're going to lose because I'm not good enough. Kind of offer them like, hey, we can win if we train hard as a team, just kind of changing the language and the dialogue that they have with themselves. And lastly, it's just teaching assertiveness. So adolescents, they kind of need to know how to speak up for themselves in an appropriate manner. So like an assertive junior high boy will always be able to ask for help when they don't understand something rather than allow themselves to fall behind. A junior high boy that's struggling with self-confidence or self-esteem, they won't take that step to ask for help. And that actually hurts them. It hinders them. And also like a teenager who can speak up is also less likely to be treated poorly by their peers. They'll speak up for themselves when they don't like how they're being treated. And they'll be able to ask for what they need in a more direct manner. So to teach assertiveness, you kind of have to begin by talking about the difference between being assertive and being aggressive. You kind of have to let them know that being assertive means standing up for themselves and using like a strong and confident voice without being rude, yelling, or putting down other people. Yeah, that's all.
So for our second part of our case study, we'll be focusing on the self-confidence in junior high girls. So we're doing this second part of our case study to compare back to the boys' case study and how their confidence was influenced in junior high. So we're going to be looking at the societal, the social, and environmental factors that influence girls' participation in sport and in school altogether. And I myself will be presenting this, Lauren Croach, along with Dia Said.
So let's talk about confidence levels going into junior high. So young females are going through physical and emotional changes and becoming more aware of their appearance and how they relate to others. This is actually a very dynamic process compared to men. It's more incremental and not as dynamic. Boys are also more confident in their physical ability than girls are at this age as well too. And it's also worth noting that it was really hard to find research on junior high girls' level of confidence. Um, Even though there was a lot of articles relating to confidence in body image, self-confidence is just not about body image when it comes to girls.
So girls are dropping out of sports at twice the rate of boys by 14 years of age. So the reasons for dropping out of sports include not having as much fun anymore, losing interest, lack of competence, and not a lot of time. So feeling of crossing traditional gender boundaries when playing sports, seeing sports as being masculine and not as feminine, teammate interaction, costs, teasing and bullying, worried about appearance and image while playing sport, and lower confidence. There are many factors that affect self-confidence in junior high girls, which include social media influence, peers and family, coach to player and coach to team interaction, and gender stereotypes. So social media platforms cause young females to drop in confidence due to an increase in involvement. They focus on editing to get the perfect photo and receive validation through likes and followers. This can become a toxic cycle for individuals' confidence because they're receiving it through online interaction and editing. Individuals become obsessed with social comparison and being more popular than their friends online. Influencers through social media demonstrate the perfect life, which speaks strongly to the younger generation to rely on social media. Physical appearance is often judged through these platforms, which can lead to eating disorders and body misconception in adolescence. The ideal female body is skinny and curvy, resulting in females striving for this image. This lowers confidence levels due to not fitting a perfect image. The ideal body image also prevents some females from pursuing sports further or training in fear of becoming too bulky or muscular. So when looking at family and peer influence on sports and confidence, with the support and encouragement to young female athletes, it allows them to grow in their environment with confidence. Parents have a significant influence on their child's confidence. And if parents are constantly critiquing the athlete, it results in low self-esteem and drive in the athlete. It creates more pressure in comparison to those around them. And if peers end up quitting the sport, it can also result in individuals following them and leaving the sport as well in order to fit in. So when you're looking at the player to coach and player to team interaction can greatly influence an individual's self-esteem. If teammates won't pass to them or exclude them in practices, it can result in lowering of self-esteem. And they can also feel incompetent. Having a negative coach who doesn't promote healthy learning, give fair opportunities to players, and picks on players can result in another reason for a decreased self-esteem. This can lead to individuals dropping out of the sport. So when we start to focus now on the gender stereotypes in sport, this can have a huge influence on females dropping out of sport, because in mixed teams where females and males participated together in junior high, females would drop out and lose confidence due to not being included or given a chance. Girls found that boys wouldn't give them opportunities and activities to score due to being a girl and not as good as them, or not as skilled, or not as strong, or not as competitive. So through studies, it was found that girls often dropped out of sports due to feeling it isn't feminine or cool to play. They feel pressure from their peers that it isn't a normal thing to do as a female. Rather, they should be out shopping or getting their nails done. It was found that young females' confidence relies heavily on social perception. If a female was good at a sport, she would be told she's too butch or judged for being competitive about athletics.
So how do you increase self-confidence in girls, especially through sport and physical activity? So research looked at three key areas: acceptance, effort, and performance. Where boys, they tend to want to exude effort, perform, and then they get accepted by their teammates and their peers, whereas girls have a different order. It's acceptance, effort, and performance. What this means is that girls really just want to be accepted within the environment, regardless of their skill set, regardless of their effort, before they actually will put the effort in to perform as an athlete or just in any physical activity. So, what does this mean? This means that we, as coaches and teachers, need to provide an environment where girls feel accepted initially. So, whether they're chatting with their friends or chatting with you, and being able to provide that atmosphere will be the first crucial step in having them build that confidence to perform, to also exude that effort. So, when does this begin? Confidence building can begin in junior high with exposure to risky play and building a strong physical literacy at late elementary school age, about grade 5 or 6. This can increase girls' confidence in her body in order to attempt new things. This can also be the foundation to be physically confident to engage in a sport or try new sports as they get older. This exposure should continue through junior high as it just becomes normal, and trying new sports and being uncomfortable becomes normal. And that can also build confidence within girls. So, where does this start? So, the first thing you need to do is increase self-efficacy. This can overcome negative peer, coach, and family influences, and it also increases confidence to overcome social media exposure. So, how are we going to do this? First, you want to promote a positive learning and competitive environment. This goes back to the acceptance, effort, and performance. Basically, knowing that girls want to be accepted within their environment. And once they do feel accepted, then that effort and that performance and that competitiveness begins to come. And we really engage their level of performance after that. We want to promote a competitive quality in female athletes, maybe, and not stereotype them into going into female sports or doing female activities, or not using words like aggressiveness and competitiveness, and maybe insinuating or saying that those are bad words for females, which they aren't. And so being able to understand that and promote the competitive quality in female athletes. We want to speak about body positivity and the effects of social media. We want to talk about the healthy you and how your body type can be healthy and what you need to do to keep your body type healthy, because every girl has a different body type, and embracing what that healthy looks like with that body type can help them gain confidence, especially as they go through puberty. We want to bring in role models into their life and really help them have somebody to go to. So if they do lose confidence or going through something that maybe somebody else went through, then they can speak to that person, and hopefully that will help them get back the confidence that they might have lost going through a tough situation. A positive self-talk. Girls are notorious for negative self-talk, and generally it's what we tend to go to for having a bad day or just in general. So giving them the tools to basically engage in that self-talk on a daily basis so it becomes normal can help them build that confidence. And finally, education on menstruation. This is a very uncomfortable subject, and especially for men and even for women too, because it's a lot of times it's hush hush, but providing that education to coaches and teachers and even the girls, and understanding that changes do occur, but it's okay. And that can help make it normal for them, which will then build that confidence and just help it grow. So when it does happen again, they can confidently go through that and make decisions based on how their body feels and not feel ashamed about that. So the second step is better awareness of perceived competencies. So research has shown that boys have a better understanding or more confident in not only their ability, but their perceived ability. So they're more likely to try new things, whereas girls are not. What this would do is would aid in overcoming gender stereotypes and negative coach and teacher perceptions. And it also helps us focus on the process instead of the outcome. So how are we going to do this? So the first thing is education on development stages to the LTAD model. This helps show the girls, now this is specifically directed toward the girls and coaches and teachers, but especially for the girls, it shows that there's stages of development that they need to go through in order to get to where they need to be. Now, understanding that we're not focusing on the age of the LTAD model, but more so the developmental stages. If we focus on the age, that could very well discourage somebody, but we have to understand is that if I was trying cricket for the first time, my skill level would be very, very low compared to somebody who's been playing it for 5 years. So instead of focusing again on the age, we focus on the development. And alongside that, now that the girls understand the kind of the stages and the process of developing a skill technique, then we we can kind of incorporate that into our goal setting technique. So being able to outline process, performance, and outcome goals, and setting those goals for those girls so that it helps reduce the devastation of failure. So there's incremental goals that they can attain in a reasonable amount of time. And this just continues to boost their confidence more and more and more and more, to the point where it's a lot easier to try new things, or maybe be at an earlier development stage in a sport, and then go through that again. And finally, role models. Role models are huge. So, and I put this in every stage, just because if they talk to somebody who's gone through these goal setting and gone through these incremental steps, then, and if they do hit a wall or run into failure, then they can always go back to that person and talk and say, hey, what am I doing wrong? And it might just be that, hey, I went through that. And again, that relational aspect that girls value can really help boost their confidence as they go through these processes. So the third step is increasing intrinsic motivation. So this is a relatively short slide because the techniques of the first two can really help increase intrinsic motivation as well too. But what intrinsic motivation does is it helps maintain the confidence that they've already built, and it helps them praise their own effort and steps rather than seek outside attention. And goal setting techniques are a huge part of helping increase intrinsic motivation. Another aspect of this is also education on extrinsic motivators and making the girls aware of these extrinsic motivators so they can begin to look towards themselves and how to build that confidence and motivation within themselves. That is our presentation. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please let us know. We'd love to hear back from you and answer any questions you have on this. Have a great day.